All right, let's get a sense of how to navigate the tough environment as a business climate right here, because at the end of the day, an investment still has to be made in spite of the macroeconomic headwinds. Joining me now is Mr. Ayodeji Abel, the MD, Optimus by AfriInvest. Great to have you on the show.
Yeah, good afternoon, Lade. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so we're all talking about investments, but there are also big divestments at this time. The latest one reaching us now, Kimberly-Clark, that's a manufacturer of diapers and sanitary pads. They've announced the imminent shutdown of its Ikorodu production facility just 2 years after investing $100 million in the Nigerian market. So we're seeing more divestments at this time. We also want to see investments. Talk to me about this.
Okay, yeah, thanks. So for the foreign investor, you have to look at it from this perspective. So when you are coming in, bringing $100 million 2 years ago, and if you have estimated the return even to be about 50% in terms of profit margin, so even if you have not used that fund and you want to repatriate your funds, you would see that the funds will be less than half of the amount you have brought in now. But on top of that, the cost of doing business is also now very high. You would look at it in terms of providing power, in terms of diesel, when you look at it on a year-on-year basis, is also very high. In addition, compounding the problem is also the demand from the customers. So that's itself. So customer wallet is getting constrained, and people would also look for close substitutes. So, and as a result, all this is going to put significant pressure on the company, that when you estimate, assuming maybe they had a 5-year plan with a 20-year annual return, if you look at the numbers now, that would have been messed up. So, and for sometimes most businesses, they may prefer just cut your losses, bite the bullet, and move on, rather than continue to bleed on a year-on-year basis. So this has implication on the economy. You look at it from the employment perspective. You look at it from investment perspective, because it may also send a very negative signal to potential investors coming in into the country. So I feel that on our cost of doing business has to also be looked into. High inflation rate, which is impacting consumer wallet, has to be also looked into for companies to be able to survive in these very challenging times.
Right, and definitely, I know you've been tracking most of these companies that are divesting, from Nigeria at this point. Talk to me about your outlook, for an investment climate. Do you think at some point, these companies will see a reversal on this trend of divestment?
Okay, thanks. We know what foreign investors look out for. They need to be able to project. That stability, policy stability, they need to be able to project. So I feel that if we're able to maintain, even from the FS perspective, people are able to project in the next 1 year, 2 years, what the exchange rate will be. People will be able to, investors will be able to plan. That is really very important. And also policy from maybe the monetary authority, fiscal authority, they are all also very important. And lastly, security is also very key, because most times put that as one of the last factor, but security is also very key. And if we are able to minimize that to level, investors will be happy to be closer to market. There's what we call proximity to market. So we say, yes, the market is there, wallet is constrained, fine. But if there's also security, that will provide a bit of confidence, and you can also, that stability is also very key across the different policy.
All right. We keep looking at most of the institutional investors, the big investors at this time, but we know retail investment is also very important for most of these markets. And this is we're having a cost of living crisis at this time. So talk to me about retail investors in Nigeria. How do you think they're faring at this point? Seeing that most of their disposable income seems to be disposed at this time.
Okay, I like the question. You would see that when we talk about disposable income, it is what is left um, after from your income. So, but what you would see is that for most people now that we talk every day, try to encourage people to save and invest. But when you see that the rate at which the consumption is rising, the propensity to consume is really very high relative to the rate at which the income is rising. So that eventually leaves a little bit for savings. And if you cannot save, or if you're unable to save, given the increasing consumption, then investing would be very challenged. So that is really very significant. But what retail investors, what you need to first of all do is that for most of them, you need to be able to also identify the type of investment that at least will give you a bit of more return. This is not the time to have idle funds not earning return. It's better to bridge the gap, because what we hear from investors on a daily basis when you engage them is that inflation rate is high, it's at 33.68%. I can't find any investment giving the same return. But if you look at it from this perspective, that by not taking any action, you are losing money. Means if inflation is 33%, if you have 1 million in the bank in the last 1 year and has not earned any return, the effective value of that money is around 700,000. So if you now have the option for you to invest and earn 20% return on that investment, so you would see that you have reduced that impact on yourself, and that even gives you further boost for you to be able to earn more income and you to be able to also purchase more. So there's a need to be aware that if we continue, for the retail investor continue to lament, and you have the opportunity to even have a bit of money saved aside and you are not making effective use of it, then you are already shooting yourself in the foot. Then there's a psychology that Ponzi schemas also play on this time around, because most investors, there's the potential to be greedy, to want a return that is significantly higher than what you get in most of the investments that traditional investments. They try to come up with things that would be significantly higher to be able to attract you and lure you to invest. You need to be mindful of that. You need to be mindful of or understand the current interest rate environment. What is the interest rate on fixed income instruments? What is the interest rate on commercial papers? If someone is promising you something very significant, then you need to begin to ask questions. You are promising me a guaranteed return on a monthly basis. What form of investment are you channeling these funds into? Because this is not the time to lose your hard-earned money. To make it now is more difficult. So you need to be able to guard whatever you have been able to earn, understand the type of investment you are going into, ensure that you understand your risk appetite before you go into any investment.
All right, Mr. Ebo, very quickly now, there's this new mantra, spend now, save later. Does it still stand?
Yeah. Yes, you would see. So when inflation rate is high, sometimes it is wise that you purchase or you spend now, because if you are saving the fund at a rate that is below inflation rate, then it may not be wise, because you may not be able to achieve that particular target. So if you have things that will add value to you that you need to spend more on, or you need to lock down the value, it makes sense for you to lock it down. So you want to buy, let's assume you want to buy air conditioner, and you know the rate at which it's been increasing is 50%. So instead of, and you have access to the fund, if you save now and you earn 20%, but in the next 1 year, that the price of that item will increase by 50%. So it's wise that you go for that now. Period when you also note that period when the interest rate is very low, the marginal propensity to save is also very low. But what we're also seeing now is that because interest rate has improved significantly in the last 3 months,
Okay.
investors are also willing to save more rather than also spend.
All right, Mr. Ebo, I guess after the show, I'm just going out to go spend it all at this point. Thank you so much, Mr. Ayodeji Ebo, MD, Optimus by AfroInvest. Thank you so much.
Always my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll head straight to the markets. Just stay with us.